that. But even the PSCG told me the lights are old, they're antiquities. You're not, and what about the speed limit? People going in and they're going at 35, 40 miles, 50 miles. I know that road is part, what,
Okay, you can finish your comment, go ahead.
okay, that road is part Burlington County. So I addressed it with Burlington County and they point me to you as well. It's in your budget.
In our budget. Okay. Thank you for that information.
Okay, so I'll leave my other comments for another day then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, because I have to come back to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyone else in the last row?
Okay.
No, you go.
I feel obligated to say a couple thank yous, if that's okay. Mark Fury, 444 High Street, 22 Washington Street, depending on how you look at it. Thank you, members of the city council. I've been a mayor. I know how tough local government is. I've been a council to a board. I know how tough that job is. I've never been a city administrator, but I even hired one once or twice or 3 times. And I've been a citizen of a couple towns. And I gotta tell you, democracy is not easy, okay? That's why we do it. Anybody can have a dictatorship, communist cabal, or a kingship. These things are easy, because what we do when we do that, we abdicate our responsibility as citizens in the hopes that the person that we imbue with the power won't screw us over too much. But see, in a democracy, you get to come to the city council, ask you questions, and if you don't like it, in November you vote. It's a good deal. Now, for me personally, I've been here 22 years, as you said. We've heard now a little bit about my experience in politics. What I want to focus my thank yous on is what a wonderful town you've given me to raise my children in. And for that, I will owe you forever.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your time. I saw someone else, well, I'll come back to you. Someone else in the fourth row?
Good evening, I'm Amber Copervas, 100 Madison Avenue. And I want to start by just also commenting on how wonderful Fire and Ice was and how I really think that is so representative of the wonderful things about this town. And people coming together and having a great time, and really just showcasing a lot of what Mount Holly has to offer. I moved here in October of 2022, and I've been attending council meetings for the last year. And I have to say, I was particularly struck by the mayor's statement last month that no disrespect would be tolerated, given what I've witnessed at almost every council meeting that I've attended. I see eye-rolling side comments and sometimes outright open disdain and contempt for residents, for their concerns, and condescension when addressing residents who don't always have the formal education on governmental or budgetary policies or procedures and some of the jargon. And part of this might be my background as a public educator, but I think as just someone who serves the public, if people aren't understanding what you're saying, then it's our job to meet them where they are and not mock them or roll our eyes or what have you. Everyone here is a resident deserving of respect, especially by the people who choose to run and serve them. And even tonight, witnessing people on council, Councilman Brown scrolling on his phone during public comment. I mean, it's just open disrespect. Which brings me to the open contempt for an exclusion of the women on council. It's palpable, it's inexcusable, especially when it appears to at least partially stem from their attention to the clear ethical, if not illegal, conflict of interest between Councilman Brown and the township manager, with that alarming consolidation of power concerning the agenda items and the power to set the agenda without input from others on council. And so suggesting too that people who were here to raise concerns about that were somehow prompted to by other people is just uncalled for. And even if no malice and no nepotism was intended, it should be pretty reasonable for people to see why that's just not a good look. And really, I mean, we hear also each month about how council has full-time jobs and
No,
responsibilities.
you can't come through that. Hold on a second.
Excuse me, just
Yeah,
one second.
yeah,
we will
yeah, I
probably-
hear stuff happening.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So Mayor Banks, you regularly bring up that you and the council, you have full-time responsibilities, which everybody here can relate to, we all do, and we're all here. And no one is, you know, holding you hostage to the position of mayor or forcing you to assign yourself to so many committees and boards. So when you come here and you present it as if you are put upon instead of, you know, here to address our concerns, that just does not, send a good message, I don't think, and I just think that I and my neighbors deserve respect and better. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you for your comments. Sir, you just walked in, how did you get through this door?
It was unlocked.
It's not the door you come in, you come in through
Pardon?
the front, you come in through the front,
I didn't know that.
okay. Anyone else in that fourth row? Alright, I'm gonna come back to you, Sam. Yes,
You're up, Deb.
Mr. Johnson.
I was gonna say,
That's fine. I'm good.
you know who I am. First off, council, good evening, and I'm Holly's family. I've known Mark for quite some time. I left the state meeting and I went to get something to eat, and guess who would be playing the saxophone? I look up and I see a mayor of some sorts, and then someone else who has been very, very active, and a very good friend. He had with him a phenomenal lady. She must have been about 80 years old,
Mm.
give or take.
Daddy Watson.
She played that organ like you had never seen. So to this evening, I thank you all for presenting to some and then reacquainting to old friends. A man who has done well in music, and this is a cultural one. This is a musical one. And then to acknowledge Mark Fury, I say, Mark, all the best.
Thank you.
And as we look to build a better Mount Holly, let's continue to move in that line. I'm not gonna talk about how old I am, because there's only one other person in here who's probably played on the basketball courts and done other things as long as I have. So I'm going to take my seat and sit down and just say thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Alright, anyone else? Do you have anything to get to? We don't like to do this, we like to go forward. I'm seeing there's no more comments, so we're gonna close the public portion of the comment for this meeting. So we have the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by council and will be enacted by one motion. Should a council member wish to discuss a consent agenda item separately, that item can be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence. We have, since this is not as long as I can read, we have resolutions number 2024-36, resolution authorizing refund of cancellation of property taxes, block 122.02, lot 22. This is 155 Hickory Street. We have resolutions number 2024-37, resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for the fiscal year 2024 local recreation improvement grant. And we have resolutions number 2024-38, resolution awarding a professional service contract to CGP and H LLC for affordable housing services, the approval of the bill list, and approval of the department head reports. Now, this is anything that you want to remove and vote on separately?
I do not.
Okay, nothing to remove, nothing? You have anything? Anything, nothing? All right, so we'll take resolutions A through E with one motion. Can I get a first?
Motion to approve. Second.
Do we have a second? Roll call?
Ms. Astor?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Burkus?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Banks?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, those resolutions have passed. All right, so we have matters to be reported by the township manager. You have anything, Josh?
Just two quick things. One, that an independent audit is done every year by an independent auditor, so they review everything in the township, including them. The second thing is that there are no ordinances that don't allow basketball courts to be on roads, so it's not something against Ms. Kessler. I have nothing to enforce.
Okay? Thank you for your comments.
Make an ordinance.
Mayor, I
Solicitor.
normally would defer to the council, but, I just wanna read something into the record.
Okay.
Obviously, Mr. Brown's free to speak and Josh are free to speak for themselves with respect to an ethics violation. But I did look into this extensively, and, it says, specifically the case that I've, noted, it says, no local government officer or employee shall act in his or her official capacity in any matter where he or an immediate member of his family or a business organization in which he has an interest has a direct or indirect financial, personal involvement that may reasonably be expected to impair his or her objectivity or independence of judgment. And it cites specifically the local public ethics law, NJSA 40A 9-22.5D. But the key here is that, the essential looser standards set by the local ethics law, and the definition of an immediate family member, it says the definition of immediate family member, which is the spouse, dependent child of a local government officer or employee residing in that same household. This Mr. Brown, Josh was employed long before his father. I looked at the decisions that were made by Mr. Brown at reorganization. They have no pecuniary or financial interest, to his son. So, while again, it's my opinion, and I'm sure that other people can have different things, I don't believe that there's any conflict of interest by Mr. Brown. That's all I have for now.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. All right, matters presented by council, let's start with Ms. Perkins.
Yeah, hey, thank you everybody for coming tonight. Congratulations, I don't know if Mark is still there. Did he leave? Congratulations to him, for his well-deserved proclamation. I'm really glad we got that on the docket today, so, and I'd like to thank him for all of his service over the years. I would, like to, when he was speaking, he referred to democracy, and that is something that, we're trying to do, and it isn't easy, and it isn't always pretty. It can be, however, professional and respectful, and I will commit to continuing to make sure that that is how I'm conducting at least myself, which is what I can control. But I did, between Mark's, Mr. Fury speaking, and also Amber, it just inspired me to just mention again something that I had said either at the last meeting or the meeting before, which is in embracing democracy, I do feel strongly against us consolidating the power to put items on the agenda to just our township manager and our mayor. I feel that that is actually working directly against democracy. For those of you who have elected us, we should all be able to put items to be considered and to be spoken about at these meetings on that agenda. I will continue to work to try to figure out a way to reverse that, or readdress that with the council moving forward. So, trying to figure out my way through that now, but just wanted to mention that again because I am a strong believer in democracy, and I think that that is something that actually works against that, in our case here. Other than that, I just wanted to, wish everybody a safe couple of days. Looks like we're in for some weather. Appreciative and hopeful for the safety of our public works group and all of our emergency services. Hopefully, this is just not a big deal and becomes a whole lot of nothing. And thank you guys all for your service, here on the council. That's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Ms. Aston?
Thank you. I'm gonna piggyback on what Councilwoman Perkins said. As far as conflicts of interest, I know I looked up, I had an email conversation with the solicitor. Immediate family can be interpreted, many different ways. I don't completely disagree. As with Kim, my main concern is consolidated power. To reread the resolution that we're talking about, it specifically states, whereas the Township Council desires to ratify existing practices and procedures with respect to crafting meeting agendas to ensure that abuse of those practices and procedures is avoided. As far as I know, no one had abused this, so I feel like if there was no abuse and no reason, I don't understand why the resolution was ever introduced in the first place, but I'll let that rest. Another thing, and I know Ms. Burgess and I had, brought this up at the last meeting, it was regards into, which I think, Mr. Lopez, you had asked about in your first comment about, appointments, that there are, particularly with planning board, and also with UBZ, there are appointments that are specifically made by the mayor, and I actually looked up the New Jersey statutes. Class 1 and class 2, would be like the mayor, or mayor's designee. Class 2, and this is for planning board, would be appointed by the mayor, and it would be an official of the municipality. In this case, it was Mr. Rich DeFalco. Class 3 and class 4 are to be appointed by council. And so, if we go back to our reorg meeting, we did not have the opportunity to appoint individuals as a body. The mayor was under the assumption that he alone makes those appointments, and that was erroneous. That is not the case. So hopefully we can readdress that, because we weren't a part of the process. One individual who was appointed in December, Mr. Zach Klein, and no disrespect to him, but we weren't even aware that there was an opening on the planning board and that Kristen Savage had stepped down. Had we been informed that Ms. Savage had stepped down, we would have then known. We could have reached out to members of the community, shared on Facebook, and participated in the process of helping to decide as a collective who the appointees should be. But we weren't even informed that there was an opening. And that appointment, along with the others, should have been made as council, not solely by the mayor. And once again, it's about making sure that we're practicing democracy correctly and following the law. So hopefully we can readdress that. And on top of that, because trying to make sure we're doing everything properly, I attended the planning board meeting, and I was very concerned because the individuals who were being sworn in didn't match the list of individuals that were appointed. And I have received communication that the administrator for the planning board had been away because of family emergency, and I totally understand that. But she put together the agenda, but when I was there, I was like, hey, why is this person not standing up, taking the oath of office? Why is that guy taking the oath of office? I know we didn't appoint him. And I just feel that even though, I don't want to put all the blame on the administrator because she was away with family emergency, our mayor and our deputy mayor are on the planning board. They know who we appointed because the mayor appointed them. And I sat there, I didn't want to say anything because there are already 2 council members on the planning board. I, as a third council member, I don't speak if I go to a planning board meeting because I don't want to break the sunshine law. And so I communicated in email later, but we basically had an individual who was appointed who didn't take the oath of office, and someone who wasn't appointed taking the oath of office. And so I feel that we really need to make sure that we're doing things properly, and it all goes back to the whole point of Councilman Burgess and I don't know about the other councilmen, we were never even a part of the process of choosing who to nominate as an appointee, and that is a grave injustice, and I hope moving forward that we will be considered in the nominating process when we appoint people, and that for those members of council who are on the planning board, that it is, I feel that it was your responsibility to guide the township planning board administrator into who was the appointees for the planning board. We have oaths of office for a reason. If they weren't important, we wouldn't have them. So hopefully we'll fix that, and it'll all be taken care of. And just, as you all know, I'm doing my best to do my job, paying attention to details and making sure that we just do things properly because we were elected to represent you, and I take this very, very seriously. Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you, Sassy. Mr. Brown? No comments? No comments. WA? You have no comments? All right, cool, thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. So appreciate your time. Like I said, like I always say this is not easy, being appointed, mayor and having multiple responsibilities. But just to address what you said things were erroneously done for the planning board, okay? Our last meeting in January, this board, everyone up here voted for planning board and all the UZ members. For the planning board, there's a 3-2 decision for all the people that were accepted, so there was a vote. And for the UEZ, there was a 5-0. Everyone voted for everyone that was approved. Okay, so I don't understand what the issue is, saying that things are being done erroneously. Now, when we appoint people, there is a process. A lot of times those process, people submit resumes, sometimes those resumes are stored. For how many years. And we can go back to those when people leave or people resign, we can go back to those resumes that people already submitted applications and offer a position that needed to be filled because we had issues with attendance coming to the planning. So that addresses that particular issue. Secondly, moving forward, when we have someone, we hire somebody to do a job. I mean, everybody has jobs in here for the most part unless you're retired. That person that's assigned to do their job, we expect them to do their job to the fullest of their abilities. Sometimes things happen. In this case, the board secretary was not, she had to travel out of town for a family emergency. She got everything together for everyone for that meeting. There were some mistakes and we addressed it with that particular individual. But that's her job in that situation. That's what we empower them to do their job. That's what we hired her for, to do her job. So in that situation, but can mistakes be made? Yes, mistakes were made, and we are correcting them. So, in that situation, we're moving forward from that. So I appreciate your concerns, but nothing was done erroneously. Sometimes people make a mistake. So what you have to do, sometimes you have to talk to the individual and you have to correct that mistake moving forward. Case closed, in regards to that. So I'd like to thank everyone that was involved with Fire and Ice. It was a good, event. We had a great day, for the most part, so it was wonderful. Township was very vibrant that day, so it was good. So we have a lot of more events coming up this year as well. So I'll look forward to more support, from everyone here and of course the rest of the town. And I can't speak for anyone here, and I don't wanna put words in someone's mouth. But, I understand that there's a lot of contention in this particular room sometimes, and everybody can do a better job in regards to that. But I assure you, like I said, from moving forward, we do what we can do. We're up here representing the people. We do our job to our best of our abilities, every day. Are we perfect? No, I don't think anyone is. Do we strive for perfection? We do, but obviously we know that's hard to achieve. All the things to look for is make improvements every day. Every meeting, every day. And that's all you can ask for. So, moving forward, I appreciate everyone's comments. I appreciate everyone's commitment to this particular town. It's a wonderful town. And this will be our last meeting at this building. Moving forward, we're going to be moving over to the new firehouse for the remainder of this particular year until further notice. And so we'll be having our township meetings there. So we'll be sending out a communication in regards to that. So this is the last time we're gonna be in this meeting. So next meeting in March will be at the new firehouse. All right, so with that, I think we're done. Everybody, all in favor to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Yes.
You got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. We'll see you next month in March.
I second.
She said-